Hello everyone, thanks for dropping in. Tony here. Over the years I've made a handful of videos and I've shared with you guys a lot of dreams and a lot of things that I've learned through the years related to the Bible. And I have also shared my one vision I had at 11 years old. And I've also shared what I call a prophetic revealing, because something that happened, was very prophetic. But I've never given a full testimony, and given the times we're in, and I feel like they're very short, I would like to do that today and give my full testimony. It started way back when I was probably 4 or 5 years old in an old house we lived in. And I remember being in the kitchen thinking that I was alone in the house. Now I'm certain I wasn't alone at 5 years old, 4 years old, but I remember being in the kitchen trying to get something out of the cabinet. I don't remember what it was. It was probably sweets or something. But I climbed up on the cabinet and I slipped and I fell backwards, and I was thinking in my mind, and I remember this to this day, I remember thinking I was going to die. And a cousin that I hardly ever see just happened to be there that day and came in the kitchen right when I fell and caught me. I felt like it was a miracle. I always felt like I owed him a debt of gratitude for that. Because even now he could have possibly saved my life. And he's the only person in our family who ever went to Bible school and became a minister. So he's a pastor, and I thought that was interesting. I know that's not necessarily a miracle, but it was at the time it sure felt like one. But anyways, moving forward till I was about 7 years old, my dad was a Christian, my family were Christians, and we went to church occasionally, not all the time, not every Sunday. And he talked about God a lot. So he taught me right from wrong, and he shared things with me from the Bible, but I didn't know what the rapture was. I had no idea what that was. And there's a lot of things that he didn't teach me that I learned, throughout my life. But at 7 years old, I remember this. I don't remember how I got a hold of these little cards, but they were, about the size of a business card. They had a little cartoon character on there, and it said, "Did you know the good news that you could go to heaven?" And it had a little phone number there, 1-800 phone number. And when you call the number, they give a pre-recorded message about Jesus and how he died for our sins. And it gave, the sinner's prayer and what to pray and how to get saved. And I did it. And I also was able to leave a message and put my address or my name. And what they did was, and I don't know who these people were. This was, I was a kid, first of all. I don't remember a whole lot of anything. But whoever they were doing a really good thing, because I got a package in the mail, a manila envelope probably about that thick, full of these cards, different ones, and they all had a little number on it. And I remember giving them to all my friends. So, I'm 7 years old. I got saved. I meant it when I said it too, because I already believed in Jesus, but I wanted to go to heaven. And I meant that prayer, and I said it, and I gave those things out to every kid in the neighborhood. And move forward again, and from that time forward, I should say that my whole life I've always felt like God was watching over me. But after that, though, I guess I got a little more interested in God, because I was getting older. And I guess the next big miracle that I can remember, and this is when they started. I was about 13 years old. I was at a water park with my cousins, and it was a wave pool. And this was a pretty violent wave pool back then. This was in the late 80s. And I couldn't swim. I didn't learn how to swim until I was 16. And we were at the deep end on the side. That's where the only place would find a place to sit down. So we were sitting down at the end of the wave pool, or where the waves come out. So that's where they were the strongest. And my cousin didn't know I could swim. He didn't know I couldn't swim. So he's joking around with me and pushes me in. Well, I'm looking across to the very back of the pool. The very back of the wave pool had like a ledge going across. And I saw that. It was about 20 foot away, easily 20 foot away. And I noticed it there, but I wasn't no way thinking when he pushed me in, falling, that I could actually reach that wall. In my mind, I was going to drown. This was all over. With them waves and everything, there's no way I could have swam in them waves, not knowing how to swim. I would have, at a minimum, I would have went under. They would have had to rescue me. But it scared me to death. all I did was close my eyes. I reached my arms out towards that wall. And I always say, oh God, right before something bad happens. I always have. I don't know. I guess it's just instinctive, you know, to call out to God. And anyways, I closed my eyes, and instantly I felt my hands hit the edge of that ledge. It's a concrete. It's just the top of the wave pool there. And my hands hit that ledge, and I was able to shimmy over and climb out. But there's no way that I could have jumped that far, even if I had a running start, let alone falling in the air. And so I remember getting out of the pool, and I was like, oh my God, I was shaking all over. I was thinking, how did I get to that edge? I mean, I must have flew. And so I run to my cousin. Did you see that? Did you see it? He says, what are you talking about? I said, man, I just flew through the air. I said, you pushed me in the water, and I don't know how to swim. He said, what do you mean you don't know how to swim? And I explained it to him. He said, I'm sorry, I didn't know you couldn't swim. And I told him what happened, but he didn't see it. Nobody seemed to see it. And this is kind of the pattern, is always when something like this happens, no matter who's around or where it happens, nobody ever seems to see it. It's the weirdest thing. But that really happened. And I mean, I should have drowned. At a minimum, I should have drowned and had to have been rescued, and I could have died. And so throughout my life, there have been many times where things like that's happened. And that's what I'm saying. It's happened so many times. I have a hard time just thinking back, just thinking of one singular incident. But another time, and this time I was actually this was before that other incident. I just remember this one. I was about 11 years old at this one. And me and my sister was in this little Vega. It was a little hatchback. And we were turning around on the highway that we lived on. You had to go down past our house, because it was, it was 4 lanes and with a median. So you had to pass our house and go down and turn around and come back up to get to our house. It was early in the morning, and we went to the store, and she bought coffee. So as she's turning, she's sitting at the turnaround, and she don't see anything. So she goes on and she pulls out. A big truck is coming, a big semi truck is coming. She never saw it. And here's what's weird: the truck driver even contested that he was going 55 miles an hour. He was flying down the road. He said, I think the speed limit wasn't 45. He admitted he was going 55 miles an hour. Right when she turned and we started heading the other way, it was like slow motion. There wasn't no crash or anything like rammed into us. It was like the car just all of a sudden went, It never felt the impact. The only impact was I had this fiberglass bow and arrow, just the bow part without the string on it, laid up on the back of the hatchback over the seat. So it came flying forward and hit me in the back of the head. It didn't hurt me. It put a big knot on my head, but it didn't hurt me or anything other than a knot. And my sister's coffee spilled all over me. Not burned, but it wasn't nothing. It got scalded, but it wasn't bad. But the wheels of the semi-truck were literally sitting in the back seat and touching the front seats. They were bucket seats. They were actually touching the seats. Neither one of us got hurt. The driver could not believe that none of us got hurt. He said, 'cause he drove right up on top of the car. He said he about drove over us. And that was crazy. I don't remember a whole lot other than just like I said, the car went. Rrr. So I mean, he hit us at 55 miles an hour and drove right up on top of us. But I mean, it was an absolute miracle that we were okay. Now I've had more profound miracles as time has gone by. But a lot of the miracles are not just my life being saved. There was many times that my life was saved, but other things too. And I remember my first marriage. Me and my wife, we were struggling really hard, and we had a little bit of change, and that was it. I mean, we had, I don't know, we might have had $5 in change, and we lived about 7-8 miles to the nearest store. And it was like on a Friday, and we didn't get all the bills paid. We paid as many as we could, and we were like $20 short of paying our insurance. And without the car insurance, we'd been in trouble. So we were stressing out bad over it. And we finally decided, it was Friday night, so look, we can't pay it. Nobody's got any money. We tried to borrow money. Nobody had any money. And this was back in the early 90s. And we just made a corporate decision together to take the change that we had and go rent a movie and just not worry about it until Monday and try again to maybe borrow some money, and hopefully they wouldn't, maybe talk to them and keep, buy us a little time. But we were stressed. We were young, and we were just newlyweds, and we just moved out on our own, and we were scared to death of losing our car insurance. But we had enough change to rent a movie, and we were driving down the street, and we were talking about how dirty the car was, and there was a quarter car wash at the corner. And I said, well, let's pull in here, and I said, let me wash the car off. And because we'll still have enough to get a movie with the change that we had. And it was a Blockbuster Video was back then, so we were heading, that's where we were heading, to Blockbuster Video. So we pull over, and I started to get out to wash the car, and I noticed something floating in one of the other bays. There wasn't nobody around. I mean, it was totally empty, just us. But it was wet. Somebody had just washed the car and left. And I happened to notice there was something floating in the drain that looked like money. And I walked over there, and it was a $20 bill, just about to go down the drain. I grabbed it. We were able to pay our insurance. We washed our car, and we rented a movie. And we thank God for that. We were so happy. I mean, it made our whole weekend. We already had food and stuff. We wasn't going hungry. But, the thoughts that we were going to lose our insurance was scary. Anyways, it was a minor miracle, but to us it was pretty serious. It was pretty profound. And as time goes on, more and more things begin to happen. I remember one time I was bad shape. This was in my second marriage. There's been a lot of other miracles that's happened before this. But I might skip around a little bit because actually I'm trying to kind of remember them. I'm thinking of more stuff as I go along. But this was my second marriage, and we were hurt pretty bad for money. Well, me and my brother was driving down. We just took off. We took off in the car, and my oldest son, and we were trying to figure out something. Maybe we go rake leaves or go try to just look. I don't know. I mean, just try to figure something out while we were driving. Well, we happened to notice there was an old abandoned house that had been sit on the corner. I mean, we passed it every day for years. And we were talking to each other. It's like, I wonder if that old abandoned house is open. Now, I know it's not exactly ethical to go in an old abandoned house like that, but I mean, we're thinking, hey, there might be something in there valuable. And I told him, I said, I'm not breaking into no house. I said, if the door's open, if it's inviting us in, and that's the only way I'm going to go in it. And I mean, we were desperate. I had insurance due, and we had all kinds of things going on. But it was my insurance. And this time though, I owed like I don't know, it was like $60 or $70. And once again, this was during the recession back in 2009, and nobody had any money. And heck, we were riding on gas fumes as it was anyways. I mean, it was weird. So I don't even know what we were thinking, but we pulled into that old house, and we drove around to the back, and the door was propped open with an old refrigerator. And so we decided to go in and look around. And this place hasn't been anybody in it probably in 20 years. It was dilapidated. There was old moldy clothes and trash everywhere and junk. You could tell it just been there for a long time. There was animals, critters inside there. I know there was probably rats and stuff too. And I was looking around, and I noticed the army jacket that looked like it might fit. And so I reached down and grabbed it. When I did, there was a pair of boots up under it, a pair of cowboy boots. And they looked like they might fit me or my brother. So I took but I wasn't really interested in those. So my brother was standing, he come walking in actually behind me. And I saw it, and I handed him the boots. I said, here, put these in the car. And so I tried the jacket on. I was looking at the jacket, and it was like coming apart. It was so old. It wasn't, so I took it back off. And by the time I got the jacket back off, my brother's yelling. He said, Tony, you ain't going to believe this. You ain't going to believe this. So I went to see what he was talking about. There was a $100 bill stuffed down in that old boot. And those boots were old. I mean, they were actually in decent shape. I don't know how long they had been there. But there wasn't no signs of anybody like living in the house. It was too disheveled for anybody to be living in it. Now, those boots may have not been there the whole time, but they've been there for a while. I mean, for years. But that $100 bill was rolled up inside, up in the toe of the boot. That $100 paid our insurance. It got us groceries and bought us gas. And that was the craziest thing. The very first thing that I decided to keep had a $100 bill in it. I give the credit to God for that. So we took the $100 and we left. Another time, and I want to tell this one before I forget about this one. This one was very profound here. the $100 was the most money I had ever found. Up to that point, I had never found any money other than that $20 bill, which was amazing. I did actually I found, well, I'll get to, there's another story I'll get to. I found money in my wallet, but I didn't find it on the street or anything. It was in my wallet. But anyways, this particular time, my wife had just went to the dentist to get her teeth cleaned and found out that she had periodontal disease. And she had perfect teeth. When I met her, they were perfect. She had braces, and she was still wearing a retainer. We were both very young. And my second wife, she was 20, I was 25, something like that. I got married really young the first time. And they told her that her teeth would eventually fall out. But the way they explained it was almost like, it gave the impression that they were going to fall out like really soon if she didn't have this maintenance work done to her gums and to her teeth before, like right away. And just to get started on it was going to cost like $1,900 just to do part of her mouth. And maybe the whole maintenance thing was $1,900. But anyways, she was scared to death. I mean, she was crying all the way home, and I kept telling her, I said, baby, I said, God is always taking care of us. We always find a way. He always provides for us. I said, there's nothing to worry about. Just have faith. And I always say that to her when she gets upset. I said, can I have faith? Because remember all those times, And she'll say, I know. And so 2 days later, and I was out of work at this time, so we were in bad money shape then. And I went up to the store to put gas in the car. It was on a morning. She was working third shift. She had just gotten home from work. And she hadn't gone to bed yet. And I went up to the store to put gas in her car. And as I'm pumping the gas, I see something out of the corner of my eye, and there's an envelope in the middle of the parking lot. And you could tell it was a bank envelope. It was the bank where we lived. You could see it. I could see that. And I knew it was a bank envelope. There wasn't nobody around anywhere. And it looked like it had some thickness to it. And I'm like, that thing has probably got some money in it. So after I finished pumping the gas, I walked over and I picked it up, and it was loaded. It was loaded with money. I saw $100 bills. And then I kind of freaked out. I'm like, man, I can't keep this. I didn't even know how much it was yet. So I look over at the store and I'm thinking, well, if I go in with an envelope full of cash with no markings on it, the clerk's just going to say, yeah, I lost it, or I'll help you find it. You need to turn this in. It was in my parking lot. They ain't no telling. So I can't do that. I need to find who this money belongs to. But first I went to the Walmart parking lot right around the corner and parked the car and counted it. It was over $1,900. But the ironic thing was, it was almost to the penny, well, to the dollar. It wasn't no change in it, but to the dollar, how much money my wife needed to get that maintenance started in her teeth. So I get the car and I drive home, and I tell my wife, I said, look, I found this money. We got to pray about it. I said, I got to find the owner or something. I'll return it in. We can't keep this money. This is $1,900. And so I said, let's get the Bible and let's pray. Because what I always do is, I guess I like casting a lot. I'll ask God a question. Then I'll open the Bible, and the first place my eyes go to, I'll read it. And 9 times out of 10, the answer to what I'm praying about will be right there. It's the craziest thing. It always happens like that. So we did that. We held hands and I prayed. And I opened the Bible, and the first thing my eyes saw was, feed the widows and the orphans, or something. I can't remember exact words now. I'm paraphrasing, but it was basically to feed the poor, to take care of the poor. And I felt like that was God telling me, I can't keep this money. I got to go find who it belongs to, or I got to, help somebody or whatever. It's kind of ironic, I was needing to find somebody to help, and I was needing to help myself. So anyways, I'm riding up and down the road and where I found the money, and the bank was like 2 blocks down. And I'm hoping like crazy I'd see somebody like looking for something frantically, so I would know that was who it belonged to, because that's a lot of money. Somebody was probably hurting bad over that. It could have been someone who just gotten their, I don't know, Social Security money, or somebody just got paid for a job and hadn't paid their guys. It could have been a woman or someone's, or even a man's rent money. I don't know, but I wanted to get it back to the owner. And I rode up and down the road for 2 hours and nothing. I was so discouraged. Finally, I just gave up. I went home and I said, I will go home and I'm going to pray again. But my wife had already gone to bed. So I got at the table and I opened the Bible and I prayed again, and I opened the Bible and my eyes went to a different place. This time it said, lavish in the blessings of God. I swear that is exactly where my eyes went to. And I took that as God saying, this is yours. This was a blessing to you. And I think the first time I saw that, the other thing may have been God testing me to see how my intentions were just to take the money without even considering, because it was really stressing me out, because I really wanted to give that money. But I can't just go turn anybody I turn cash into like that with no markings is going to claim it. It's just I needed money bad. So if I'm just going to give it away, I need it. So I felt like that was God's way of showing me it was okay to keep it. So we did. And we used some of it for teeth. We actually used it to buy some clothes for the kids too. But we got her maintenance started, and we were able to do that with it. We had enough money to start the maintenance, and then because she couldn't get it all done at one time anyway, so it worked out. In a whole lot of ways, it worked out. And I thought, see, I told you God would provide for this, and He did. And she's never cried about that thing again. And she's had a lot of work done to them, and they're not really getting better, but they're not getting any worse really. So she still needs some work done. But there's been so many things like that's happened. One time I saw me and my brother actually, when I lived out in the house way out in the country. It was on the 3rd of July. We were outside on the porch talking. He was about to go home. We always do that. Whenever he gets ready to leave, I'll follow him outside and we'll talk for a while on the porch. And I'll walk to the car and I'll talk to him by the window. We always do that. It's crazy. I never let him leave. And we're talking on the porch, and I saw something up in the sky. And I thought it was fireworks. And he saw it too. He looks up and he saw it. And it looked like, at first, like fireworks. But there was this big, off in the distance, this great big cloud. It was cylinder shaped going up and down. And looked like, first it looked like fireworks, like I said. But then we started watching it, and lightning was shooting all through this thing. It was shooting all around, different colors. It was the craziest thing I ever seen. And me and Jack tried to figure out what it was. And then the next day on the news, they said that a phenomenon had been spotted in our county. That a lot of people had seen it, but they didn't know what it was. I thought that was pretty amazing. I saw other lights in the sky. I've seen a lot of crazy stuff in the sky. But I've had a lot of profound miracles. One other miracle that I was going to tell you earlier was about the money I found in my wallet. What happened was I had went over to my brother-in-law's. He had a little beach bingo place, him and his wife, and my dad was helping him. I went over there to try to borrow some money. And me and my wife, once again, was struggling, and I didn't have anybody else to turn to. So this was my first wife. Man. This was way back, because I'm going way back. I'm jumping all over the place. But I went in and asked everybody. Nobody had any money. I had already asked everybody I could think of to call on the phone, and nobody had any money. I didn't have a good enough credit to go borrow any money, but we needed... It wasn't that much. Back then it seemed like a lot more, but it wasn't even $100 that we needed. And we needed groceries. But I kept opening my wallet for whatever reason. I guess it's the same thing. It's kind of like when you ain't got no food in the house, and you keep opening the refrigerator like there's something going to magically appear. And I kept opening my wallet, and there was nothing there. I kept opening my wallet. Well, I said, Lord, please help us find some money to pay these bills and get groceries. And I just was stressing out. I had pretty much given up, and I was about to leave with my wife, and we were going to go back home. We lived about 35, 40 miles away. And so we had to buy the gas to get there and to go home empty-handed. Nobody had any money. So getting ready to leave. I don't know what caused me to open my wallet again. I don't know what. It was just, something just came over me to open my wallet again. I don't know why. But I opened up my wallet, and there was a $100 bill. There was a $100 bill. It wasn't a couple dollars stashed in a pocket. It was literally right there where I had looked probably 50 times. I had no money. And like I said, I don't know why I kept looking in my wallet, but it was there. $100, $100 bill right there in my wallet. It paid all our bills. It got us groceries. And I thank God for it. And I went on with my life. And that has happened so many times like that, those kind of things. And I remember one time, this is very, very profound here. I had never actually, I know I kind of said that I prayed for help with the bills, and I did. But I didn't actually ask for money. I never really prayed for cash. I always asked God to help me help me get the bills paid, help me get food, or help me get what we need. But I was kind of scared to pray for cash. I don't know, I felt like that was somehow inherently evil. So I never actually had prayed for cash. Well, this time, we were in such bad shape. Again, I was out of work. This was in the same time period. This was about 2010. And I was out of work for the whole 99 weeks when the economy went bad. I couldn't buy a job. I mean, there was nothing out there. And I'm just, at wit's end. Tina went to work crying. We didn't have money for groceries. We didn't have money to feed the kids. We had nothing. We had a little bit of food, but we were about to run out of food altogether. And to be honest, I've never went hungry. My kids have never went hungry, but there's been a few close calls. But something's always happened and kept us from going hungry, thank God. Well, like I said, she went to work with tears in her eyes, crying. She says, I don't know what we're going to do, but we can't keep living like this. You got to get a job. We have to get some other money coming in. I sat out on the porch after she went to work. I was so depressed, and I'm like, I got to go to God. I've got to ask God for help. And I went in the bedroom and shut the door. Nobody was at home but me. Well, actually, my brother may have been there. Anyways, I think my brother was there. But I went in the bedroom and I shut the door, and I got on my hands and knees, and I said, Lord, I had never asked for money before. I said, but I don't know any other thing that could help us right now. We need so many things and so many bills, and we need food. We need so many things. I said, I don't know if it's a sin to pray for money. I said, but Lord, if it's not a sin, could you help me with some money? I don't know how I would find it. I said, would I need to go out and ride up and down the street? Would you, if you were to give it to me, would you make it appear somewhere, or would I find it, or somebody would call and give it to me? Or I wasn't sure what to do after praying for it, because first of all, I didn't even know if it was wrong to pray for it. So after that, I said, would I need to go out to the mailbox? And when that thought hit my head, I started laughing at myself. I was like, Lord, this can't be right. I said, I'm sorry I should not have asked for money. I said, thank you for all your blessings. I said, please help me if you can, but I shouldn't ask for money. And I ended the prayer. And later that day, about 3 o'clock is when the mail came, and I prayed that prayer probably about 10 o'clock in the morning, 9 o'clock in the morning. I went out to the mailbox to get the mail. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that the thought didn't cross my mind at what I had prayed, because it did. I thought about it for a brief second, but it was just because it was in my mind. I mean, I'm heading to the mailbox. I had asked God, and I remembered that, kind of laughing about that to myself, that I would even ask for such a thing. But when I opened the mailbox, there was a North Carolina check, income tax check, probably 4 years old. We do our taxes at Hewitt Jackson every year. I have a record of all the taxes. I would have known if they had owed me money. I would have been waiting in anticipation, especially the amount of money it was. I opened that check up, and it was $450. $450 I had no knowledge of them even owing me. Well, of course, when I pulled that thing out of the mailbox, I'm thinking to myself, God, this is exactly what we needed. Not only was it what we needed, it was in excess of what we needed, but it got everything paid. We got food. We even had a little entertainment that weekend. And I thank God. I was literally tears coming down my face. I went and run, because my wife worked about a mile. Well, I was about 2.5 miles away. I went to her work and told her, and she started crying. But this time she wasn't crying with sorrow. She was crying with tears of joy. She said, I can't believe it. She says, this is like perfect timing. How could this happen? They don't owe us any money. We would have known. I said, it's all God. I said, evidently it's not a sin to pray for money. And God was showing me that no prayer is too big or too small, because it surely came. And it was just amazing. I felt my hair was standing up on my head. I couldn't believe what I was looking at. I mean, it was almost surreal. I'm like, is this really happening? And I should by now, I should trust God. I should know He's happened so many times, and He's answered my prayers so many times. It's like, I shouldn't even be surprised, but you can't help it. It's just human nature. You can't help it. Well, there's another time. No, this wasn't money now. This was something else. I was working at a place that recycled antifreeze, and I was climbing up, and I had really bad knees. I since then have gotten both my knees replaced, which actually came about in another miracle. It caused me to be able to get my knees replaced. I dealt with them for 11 years. Pain, misery. Well, I worked in this place with bad knees, and this antifreeze residue would get all over the floors. It was always slippery. I was always hurting myself. Well, I wound up slipping. I had one bad knee already at that point. One was bad, real bad. But I had not yet hurt the other one. Well, I slipped in there and hurt the other one. So now it got bad. So after about 6 months, not even a year, that other knee had gotten really bad. And I'm still working there, having to climb up on tanker trucks to hook the hoses up and stuff, the air hoses up. And I was up on the side climbing up the truck, and there was a rail, like a yellow handrail that ran next to where the truck had pulled into the warehouse. He was right next to that handrail, and on the other side of the handrail was a big sump with these big tall tanks. There was like 16,000 gallon tanks in there. And so I'm climbing up, and I'm like 2 feet behind me is that rail, and I'm climbing up that ladder on that truck and slipped. My knees gave out, and I slipped, and I fell backwards. And I remember looking up at the top of the ceiling inside the warehouse, and I'm thinking to myself, this is it, Lord. I'm about to die. I was going to fall back, and my back was going to hit that yellow rail. It was going to snap me in half, or I was going to fall into that sump and break my neck. But in just a split second, I'm falling while I'm thinking that, looking up at the ceiling, all of a sudden, boom, I land with my arms over the thing, over the rail, in just sort of such a way that it didn't hurt my arms, and it didn't hurt my legs or my feet. Nothing got hurt. It's just like I jumped a foot off the ground. It seems impossible. But when I started climbing that ladder, the truck driver was putting something in his toolbox right beside of me. I mean, just 3-4 foot away. But when that happened and I landed with my arms over, I looked to see the truck driver so I could say, did you see what happened? He wasn't there. He was on the other side of the truck. He didn't see it. I'm like, I went over there, I said, did you see what happened? He said, what are you talking about? I said, oh my God. I said, I just fell off the truck backwards. I should be dead right now. Nobody ever sees it. You know, it's just like the only witness I have is God and me. But I swear to you, I know I shouldn't swear, but I promise, and I would never promise, I would never tell a story about God like that and lie, because I'd be scared that God would punish me severely for telling lies like that. These things happen. They happen a lot. Way too much to be coincidence. I should be dead, but God saved me. He saved me then, and I said, oh God, and I'm falling. I mean, every time something like that happens, you know, first thing I say, oh God. And, you know, it's like He hears me every time, and so amazing. There was a time when I was heading to work on a Sunday, the same antifreeze plant. I was going in on Saturdays and Sundays to check the steel, because he would have it running all weekend. He would go out of town and camping and stuff, and he would leave the thing running. I'd have to go in. You know, for a couple hours, I'd get overtime, and I'd go in. And it wasn't that far. It was about 20 miles away. I'd go in on Saturday, Sunday. It was kind of fun. Go in early and get me some breakfast and go check the machine and pump out, or get the tanks and pump out the finished product in the new tanks so it can continue to run. Anyways, I get all the way to work. I didn't have my keys to the shop. I left them at home. I had to turn around and go all the way back. Now, I got there at 8. So by the time I got back home and got back coming down the road, I was coming down one of these major highways going into South Carolina. It was about 9 o'clock. And the sun, at this time of the year, I can't remember exactly what time of year it was, but the sun was just coming up over the trees, and it was blinding me. And I wasn't speeding. I don't even think I was going the speed limit. I was probably going about 50. Yeah, I was going about 50. Maybe, I might have been going the speed limit 55. I might have been, but I think I was going about 50. But out of nowhere, there's a guy walking down the street. He's not looking, he's walking with the traffic. I mean, not facing it. And he comes out of nowhere, and I whip the car as fast. I mean, I don't know how, I don't know how I didn't just destroy this man. But I whipped the car to the left, and I felt the car hit him. I was in a little minivan, by the way. It was a little it's a little Toyota Sienna minivan. I felt the impact hit him. It sounded like a shotgun blast. Boom! And I felt the boom. It felt like I run over him. I mean, you hit somebody at 55 miles an hour. I mean, I was just sure I just killed somebody. I pulled the car over as quick as I could to the right, slammed on the brakes, but it took me a minute to get stopped. I mean, because I was going fast. You wouldn't believe it. Even though I hit this person, I was still going. I get the car pulled over into the on the side of the road, the shoulder, and there's a little shoulder, probably about 10 feet before the woods. And I try to stop the car, and I look back in my rearview mirror, and I see something. I see him, but it looks like he's spinning in a centrifuge. I don't know how to describe this. This was the weirdest thing I ever seen. But I'm going, oh God, no, oh God! I'm panicked. I'm panicked. I'm thinking I just killed somebody. And I see him spinning in the rearview mirror. I don't even know. I can't describe what I saw. It looked like he was spinning around, like his whole body was spinning around longwise, like this. Well, I get out of the car, and I'm running towards him. He's on the ground at this point, and I'm screaming, God, no, God! And that's all I'm saying. I'm scared to death. And he stands up, and it's taking me a while to get to him. And by the time I get to him, I see him stand up. I see him looking for something on the ground, picking stuff up, and I'm like, he's alive. And I was so in shock, and so my nerves were so tore up. I didn't know what to do. I ran up to this perfect stranger, this man I don't even know, and I put my arms around him and I hugged him. I'm like, oh, thank God! And he's like looking at me like I done lost it. I said, are you okay? Oh my God! I said, you should be dead. And I'm just going. I get excited easy. And he said, no, you hit. Your mirror hit my elbow. And the story, the car, the damage matched the fact that the mirror was gone. It was laying down the street. And I said, oh my God, I swear I felt the car go over you. I felt the impact. I said, I just knew you was dead. He says, man, it hurts. He said, but I'm fine. He says, it's my fault. I shouldn't have been out in the road. He says, but the grass was wet. My shoes was getting wet. This is a major road. Major highway. You don't walk down major highways like that. You get killed. And nevertheless, I felt responsible. So I'm not about to go anywhere. He's trying to get me to leave. He says, man, I just got out of prison. I'm not prison. Well, they call it prison. This county jail where I live is they refer to it as a prison. It's a really rough little place. Well, he had just gotten out. He gotten out because of the jail preacher or whatever struck a deal with the judge, but said if this guy will actually something about if he'll help him with his ministry, he was going to let him out of jail on early release. So he was looking for the man's number. He had it in his Bible, and everything went everywhere, and he was scared he wasn't going to be able to find it and thought he was going to wind up back in jail. That's the only thing on his mind was getting out of there. And so I said, well, we got to call an ambulance. He says, no, you don't need to call nobody. But someone had already witnessed it and dialed 911. The ambulance and the police got there. They checked him out, but he wouldn't go to the emergency room. And so wind up insisting I would take him somewhere he needed to go. And we went by the store, bought him something to eat, and took him to a friend's house. He got my phone number and said that once he got his ministry started, he asked me if I wanted to help him. And I said sure, but I never heard from him again. But there was one more thing. Before the police got there and all, he was still looking for his stuff on the ground. Because I asked him, I said, what are you looking for? He told me. I said, man, you got guardian angels around you. And it was so weird. Right next to the edge of the woods, a little wild rabbit popped his head out. And I said, look, there he is right there, just joking. That rabbit looked up, he looked around, turned around, he scurried back off. It was weird. And so another time, me and my daughter was heading up to Walmart, my youngest daughter. And we was in our new Jeep Liberty, which it wasn't brand new. It was 2012, it was to 2014. It was new to us. And anyways, we were driving up to the top of the street. At the top of our road, which is about 4 miles long, there's a major highway. Highway 5 cuts through, and there's a stoplight, and you go across, and then you go up, and there's another stoplight, and there's a bilo on the right. And we were coming up towards that second light there at the bilo, bilo was on the right. And as I was pulling up towards the light, this was the weirdest thing, because I usually don't even slow down. It's 45 through there, and if the light's green, I just keep going. I look both ways, and sometimes I let off the gas, but I don't really slow down. But this particular time, I did. Something told me that a car was about to pull out in front of us. I don't know how, but they did. And as soon as that happened, I hit the brakes. And I didn't slam on the brakes, but I hit the brakes. And about as soon as I hit the brakes, I was going into the light. I was right at the light. And as soon as I hit the brakes, a car came out of nowhere. Right out in front of me. They were trying to make the green light in front of me. And I guess they realized that they couldn't make it in time. So instead of just hitting the gas and darting across, they turned to the left harder than they normally would and overcorrected. Wound up facing the traffic that's sitting there at the light coming the other direction. And they had to slam on the brakes. So when he slammed, he was in a pickup truck. And when he slammed on his brakes, I couldn't avoid hitting him. But I hit him in the rear of his truck. And I didn't hit him hard because I'd hit the brakes and slowed down. Probably to about 35. Maybe even to 30. Maybe it wasn't even that fast, but it totaled my car. It totaled my Jeep. And it didn't hurt the truck very much, but it totaled the Jeep. The airbags came out. My daughter was fine. She didn't get hurt. She burned her arm a little bit when the airbag came out and the door was hot. But it wasn't a big deal. But see, if I hadn't hit the brakes when I did, And I thought about this a lot. If I had not hit the brakes right when I did, he would have hit us broadside going through that light and probably killed us both. Maybe even killed himself. He was flying. He must have been going probably 30, 40 miles an hour himself and turning at the same time. So it would have been bad because of the combined speed and all. It would have been like a head-on collision. Matter of fact, I could have hit him head-on if I had not hit the brakes. I may have wound up hitting him head-on when he tried to pull out in front of us. That's how close that was. But I believe with all my heart that God put that in my head to get me to hit the brakes. And ironically, the other night, this is about a week ago, me and my daughter went to Walmart again. Now we're in my wife's new car. That car got totaled, and we've since then got a new car, and it's a little Kia. And we're heading to Walmart. And I get up near the top of the street to where the first light is. The other was the second light. So I'm almost to the first light, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm in the new car. I'm with Leah again, going to Walmart. I'm like, I better be careful at this light. And this is the first light, like I said, not the second one where the Viola was. The road right at the top of our street. There's a major highway that runs across right there too. And so I'm thinking maybe I should be careful at this intersection. I swear to you, I'm not lying. I put the brakes on, but I put them on hard, and looked both ways. And but I wasn't stopped. Now I didn't stop. I put the brakes on hard, slowed down from 45 down to about 35, maybe 55 to 35. And out of the corner of my eye, here comes a car, and he's flying. And when I realized he was flying, I'm like, I'm not going to be able to stop. So in time, before I get out in front, he would hit us broadside. He would have killed my daughter and me too. He was going probably 55 miles an hour through there. I saw him coming. He was barreling through there. I could tell he wasn't about to stop. I swear this happened. I hit the gas, and I floored it. When I did, I just barely made it. I made it just in the nick of time, and I saw him. I saw smoke coming from his tires. He had slammed the brakes on. I seen the whole car go like this right here, and he was all the way across the intersection. He would have slammed into us so hard. So I'm thinking to myself, if what had happened the first time in the first accident had not happened, I wouldn't have been thinking about what I was at this time, and I would not have thought to hit the brakes. I would not have been aware of what was going on around me. I would have went right through that thing like I would have normally done. He probably would have hit us right smack. Now I would have been going maybe a little faster, but as fast as he was going, I don't think we would have avoided. Because when I saw him, I hit the gas. I hit it hard. I went right back up to speed as soon as I realized I saw him. But who's to say if I had not have thought about it and been careful, I might have just went on through that light not paying no attention, and boom, he would have hit us. Anyways, I give all the credit to the Lord that we're here today. And things like that happen all the time to me. There's been so many times I'm sitting here trying to think, this house that we live in is way out in the country. We live in a very unique place, evidently, or this is just all God, and I believe it's all God too, either way. But we see rainbows in the front yard all the time. It may be the positioning of the sun, I don't know, but this is what's crazy. We see them all the time. In the summertime, any given time, if it's rained, you go outside, there's going to be a rainbow. There's always a full rainbow right out in my front yard. And what's crazy is that I'm going to show you something. This window right here. Okay, it's just a common window. You can see that the inside molding is coming out or whatever, that insulation. But look at this. It's like a sunburst. But this arch right here, where you see that arch, that's exactly where the rainbow always appears, right outside. It's almost like this window is like a window to the rainbow outside. I don't know. It's kind of weird, but it's kind of crazy. But we see them all the time. This has happened on many occasions. Me and my wife be driving down the street, and she'd be upset about something. And I'd say, I always do this. I always encourage her, and I say, look, you got to put your faith in God. You've seen it a million times. You got to put your faith in God. And she'll say, I know. And several times I've done that to her on the way home, and we get home, and there's a rainbow in the sky. And I'll say, see, look. And my skin will just be crawling, my hair will be standing up everywhere, and she'll be like, wow. And I'm like, you see? I have faith in God. It's almost like, God showed every time I need some encouragement, He puts that rainbow there and it comforts us. Well, one day I come home from work, and it rained. It rained a couple of, maybe an hour before I got home. And it's, it was still cloudy, and the sun was coming up, there's steam coming off everything. And I had to back into the driveway because my driveway's real muddy, and I don't want to get stuck in the morning when I'm leaving, so I'm backing in. and I'm backed up and I'm parked and I'm looking up the sky like, wow, I hadn't really seen a rainbow in quite a while. I'm literally thinking that in my head, I hadn't seen a rainbow in a while. And a rainbow manifests itself in front of my eyes. Literally right in front of my eyes. I have never witnessed a rainbow appear before. I mean, literally watched it from start. And it was in the center, not on the edges. It started right in the middle of the sky and went right in front of my eyes. Man, I started crying. I'm like, oh, Lord. My hair stood up. My skin was crawling. I'm like, thank you, Lord. Thank you, God. That was the most amazing thing I ever seen. What are the odds? If that wasn't a coincidence, that had to be like the greatest coincidence ever. That was all God. God was showing me that rainbow. And it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. And He has showed me so many things. So many things have happened miraculously like that. I can't even think of them all. Here's another one. The house we used to live in, we were renting. There was we've never been able to, since I've lived in South Carolina, I've never been able to get regular TV. I'm not going to pay for cable because they just, well, yeah, I take that back. When I first moved to South Carolina, we had the satellite thing, and it was like got a real good deal for the first year. Then it went up like 5 times the next year. And I was like, from then on, I'm not paying for this stuff anymore. It's just ridiculous. We sit there flipping. That's all we do is flip, 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 flip. We never actually watch nothing. I'm like, it's crazy. So we went and got Netflix and Hulu, and we got a computer. And, we watch YouTube videos or we watch Netflix. So we haven't had a TV channels. The antennas won't pick up out here. Well, we had one channel that would pick up with the antenna where we live, and it was out of Chicago. And every night they played the same shows. I think Seinfeld was one of the shows, but every night same shows, even the weekends. And one particular day I was at work thinking, man, I really want to watch that old 10 Commandments, that Cecil DeMille, the old 1950s version of Moses. I was thinking all day long at work I wanted to watch that version of Moses. I don't know why, it just was in my head all day. I love that movie. And I got home and I said to my wife, I said, let's watch Moses and the 10 Commandments. And she says, no, I'm watching TV. She had on her little channel. And I said, come on, let's watch it with me. I said, Tina, I really want to be looking forward to it all day long. I really want you to watch it with me. I just want to see it. I said, please watch it with me. She says, I don't want to watch it. I'm watching my shows. I got a little frustrated. I didn't get mad. I didn't say nothing. I think I got my feelings hurt more than anything. So I went in the kitchen and started washing dishes. And all of a sudden, I start hearing this music playing on the TV that she's watching. And it was very familiar, but I couldn't place it. And I walked in there to see what it was. It was the cartoon version of 10 Commandments. It was Prince of Egypt coming on. That channel, that particular time. I said, what? I said, is that Prince of Egypt? She said, yeah. She says, I put on the movie. I'd rather watch a movie than a cartoon. So we wound up watching it after all. So I feel like maybe God was trying to show me something or wanted us to both watch it for some reason. I don't know, but there's a lot. Moses and the Exodus, there's so many spiritual, parallels to the end times and Jesus with the Moses and the Exodus stories. It's unreal. Now, this is another miraculous story. And this happened. It was kind of weird. I had went in for surgery. I had a stone had gotten into one of my saliva glands, into one of the ducts, and it got infected, swelled up, and I had to get it cut out. So I was really sick when I went in, and they had to put me on antibiotics. So I was in the hospital for several days, and they did the surgery and all. And once everything was, I'd gotten, to where all the, after the surgery, and I got better, and they were releasing me. Me and my wife was getting ready to leave, and I had just gotten dressed, and we were just gathering up our stuff, and a team of doctors came into the room wearing white. It was, I think it was 2 men and a woman doctor. They were oncologists. And they said, Mr. Early? And I said, yeah. And he says, is this your wife? And I said, yeah. He says, would you two mind sitting down for a minute? And I'm like, yeah. He said, well, when we were doing the x-rays prior to your surgery, your surgeon had sent us these images. And we had taken the x-ray of your neck, and we also caught, your lungs as well. And they were so serious. They looked at me and says, Mr. Early, we had already noticed that all your lymph nodes in your body were swollen. And there was, we don't know how to put this, but you have, I can't remember exactly what they call it, but I had spots all over my lungs. And they said that it's very telling. And they basically told me I need to get my affairs in order. They said, we have recommended a pulmonologist for you to go to get a biopsy. It says, but this is very serious and you need to do this right away. We'll help you get the paperwork started. I said, I'm not going. I'm not worried about it. He said, sir, this could kill you. I said, nope. And I told my wife, I said, look, I don't have cancer. All right, I said, I didn't know what was going on, and I don't know why they came in the way they did, but it was almost like they were trying to scare me. Maybe this was real. Maybe I had it. And see, this is where the story kind of turns. I never went. Well, hell, now it's been about, I don't know, 16, 17 years, and I've never had one problem with my lungs. Now, either that was a miracle from God because of, I had faith and didn't worry about it, which I tend to lean to because, people get this stuff all the time. I mean, it can happen to anyone, and I was a heavy smoker at the time. But, anyways, I never had any issue with it. And my lungs are clean. And all the x-rays that I've gotten since then haven't showed anything. Now, I mean, it is possible that, well, I don't know. I don't want to say. I mean, I was going to say maybe they saw something and, made them think that I had it. But anyway, at the end of the day, it was a miracle to me because I didn't go and never had a problem with it. And it was in the back of my mind, but I totally put my trust in God. I said, look, if I have cancer, I would rather die from the cancer than to go get chemotherapy. I had made up my mind on that a long time ago. So either way, I wasn't going back to the doctor with it. And anyways, to this day, I've had no issues with my lungs whatsoever. And God has always been with me. Thank you for watching, and I hope this inspired somebody because this is the honest to God truth. These things happen to me all the time. Accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, and you will go to heaven. All you got to do is confess your sins and ask Jesus to come into your heart and say, Lord, you say the sinner's prayer. Say, I'm a sinner. I don't deserve to go to heaven, but I believe that Jesus lived on this earth as the Son of God and died for our sins on the cross and was resurrected on the third day. And that's, if you believe it, you'll go to heaven. That's all there is to it. And not only that, not only are you guaranteed a place in heaven if you put your faith in God and in Jesus, but He will also protect you. There's a verse in the Bible that says do the angels not minister, or do the ministering spirits, or the angels are ministering, I'm paraphrasing, the angels are ministering spirits unto those who are destined for salvation. So if you're a Christian and you're destined for salvation, because that's the only way you can be is being saved, then the angels minister unto you. There are angels. You have guardian angels. You really have them. That you have guardian angels. And it certainly explains my life. Because there ain't no other way to explain the things that's happened to me. I only told you a few out of hundreds and hundreds of times that I can't even remember them all. And if I sit here and thought about it long enough, I can remember some more. But you guys have a wonderful night and a blessed evening. And I'm hoping I'll get some more videos made. I've been real slack on the video making. I have to work, and I'm not doing it for money. I'm just hoping to share it with somebody and maybe inspire and encourage someone. So God bless you, and see you next time.